Once I knock out Mike Perry, Conor McGregor, let's run it. But you won't do it because you know what's going to happen. You saw what I did to Nate Diaz, who you went toe-to-toe with. So Conor McGregor, lay off the cocaine, get in the gym, and start winning fights, and then maybe we can have a conversation.
Jake Paul is once again pulling his signature move to remain in the media's glare, this time by throwing down a public challenge to none other than Conor McGregor, with a proposed showdown sometime in May of next year. In typical Jake Paul fashion, he posted a video aimed at mocking and disrespecting McGregor, clearly trying to provoke a reaction. But let's not kid ourselves, Jake's tactics have become as predictable as his fighting choices. His playbook is built around chasing faded legends and exploiting their names to add weight to his paper-thin resume. After dragging a 58-year-old Mike Tyson into the ring, he's now aiming at McGregor, an icon whose best fighting days are long gone and whose recent record speaks for itself.
Jake Paul made the call-out video. He disrespected Conor McGregor.
Naturally, Jake has no interest in facing anyone still in their athletic prime. Why would he? Taking on a young, dangerous opponent would risk exposing the carefully constructed illusion of his skills. He prefers aging stars who once ruled their sports but now present a manageable threat. That's Jake's entire formula: avoid real danger, chase clout. If he truly wanted to prove his worth, he'd pick someone closer to his own age and athletic peak. But that would ruin the carefully scripted drama he's built around his so-called legacy. Jake's image thrives on provocation, not performance. Every stunt is calculated, every feud choreographed. And now, with McGregor in his sights, he's aiming to extend his viral streak once more. He wants to fight McGregor, yes, the same McGregor who hasn't secured a win since 2021 and whose career now seems defined more by brand endorsements than brutal knockouts. Jake delivered this call-out with the smugness of someone who believes he's doing McGregor a favor. He's mastered the art of shamelessness, and now he's selling this fight like it's some act of charity for a fading UFC star. And to make the whole thing even more ridiculous, the proposed venue is India, sometime in 2025, because, apparently, absurdity isn't complete without an exotic twist. Every bit of this screams spectacle over substance.
Jake Paul training with professional boxers, essentially being a professional boxer, but getting in the ring with non-boxers or geriatrics. He's not.
Adding to the buzz is ESPN's Sal Vendor, who threw gasoline on the fire by tweeting that the fight is being planned for July, August, or September 2025 in India, of all places. The timing, the location, the matchup, it all feels more like a promotional fever dream than an actual sporting event. But the tweet did exactly what it was supposed to: set the internet ablaze. Twitter erupted with memes, jokes, speculation, and chaos. Sal didn't confirm anything, yet the mere suggestion of the fight was enough to hijack the headlines. Whether he's a social media genius or just poking the bear for fun, Sal succeeded in keeping Jake Paul's name front and center. And that, ultimately, is Jake's entire mission: dominate the conversation, regardless of substance. Of course, this isn't about boxing for Jake, it never was. It's about staying viral, staying relevant, and keeping the cash flowing. And he's done just that, even after his win over Mike Tyson, if you can even call it that. He faced a man old enough to be his dad and paraded around like he'd just dethroned a world champion. The outcome was no shock, a unanimous decision win for Jake, which felt more scripted than competitive.
Doesn't he just get in the ring with you?
He's on Twitter, he's on his yacht, he's on cocaine, but he's not in the ring with me.
Jake's Tyson strategy was simple: survive the rounds, avoid serious hits from a retired legend, and then crank up the PR machine. Leading up to the fight, Jake unleashed a flood of content, training clips, sweaty workouts, motivational talk, all designed to paint him as some sort of warrior. But the fight itself? Lukewarm at best. Even Tyson's aged punches weren't enough to generate real excitement. Critics called it a glorified sparring session, fans felt duped. But Jake doesn't care. He took a mediocre performance and repackaged it as proof of greatness, something he's mastered over the years. He's built a career out of turning spectacle into storyline and mediocrity into media coverage. Which brings us back to McGregor. Jake's challenge reeks of strategic desperation. He knows Conor is no longer a dominant force, but that's precisely why he wants him. It's about minimizing risk while maximizing attention. And for Conor? Well, he doesn't have many legitimate options left. Outside of his whiskey brand and occasional headlines for social media antics, his fighting relevance is fading fast. A bout with Jake Paul would be less about athletic glory and more about banking a massive payday. And from a financial standpoint, that's the entire appeal. It's the money that makes this fight remotely viable. Jake Paul has built an empire out of turning controversy into currency. The bigger the name, the louder the buzz. But let's not kid ourselves, this has nothing to do with real boxing. Jake's matches are publicity engines designed to flood timelines, not boxing archives. And Conor? Once feared and admired, he now looks more like a fading star desperate to stay in orbit. The same man who once electrified arenas now garners attention more for courtroom drama and stale one-liners than his prowess in any ring. His last real moment in MMA was in 2021 when he shattered his leg against Dustin Poirier, a career-altering injury followed by prolonged silence. Since then, he's been more active in business deals than combat, and this new comeback looks more like a pivot to cash grabs than any serious return to form.
Conor McGregor just tweeted at me because of this interview.
He has to get active again. You know, who knows when that's going to happen.
These are his tweets, and here's my response. Conor, you're more active on Twitter than you are in the octagon. Stop taking Trenbolone and start taking fights. You're more actively cheating on your wife than you are in the octagon. Your priorities are mixed up. Put down the bottle and get back to fighting. You haven't won a fight in 5 fucking years, and the last time you did was against Cowboy Cerrone, who hasn't won a fight against anyone since fighting you. I'm a nobody, you say in this tweet. Well, yeah, you're right. I'm just a fucking kid from Ohio. I really am a nobody, but this is where you fought your 6th fight.
There's literally 2 people in the crowd.
And this is where I'm going to be fighting my 6th fight. Madison Square Garden, the mecca of boxing. August 6th. I know you'll be watching, kiddo.
These exhibition fights offer Conor a low-risk, high-reward way to stay visible without facing real danger. He can cash in while preserving what's left of his name. And Jake, with his relentless drive for clout, is the perfect partner for such a transaction. Unsurprisingly, Jake's open challenge to McGregor has been met with complete silence. Not a tweet, not a comment, nothing from Conor's end. Maybe he understands how absurd this matchup would be. Maybe he's too busy crafting his next whiskey promo or dodging real UFC commitments. If McGregor does accept, it's a gamble. On one hand, he'd collect a fortune. On the other, a loss to Jake Paul would permanently stain whatever legacy he still clings to. Declining, however, means missing out on one of his last few chances to remain relevant in the fight world. He's boxed himself into a corner, either take the bait or fade further into obscurity.
Look, Conor is not what he once was. And so even beating him, it still looks good on somebody's resume.
Make no mistake, it will be a trilogy fight down the line. It won't be straight away, but we will do it 3 times, 100%.
So what would this fight actually mean for combat sports? Very little. It's all flash, no substance, and overhyped circus disguised as an event. Real boxing fans won't be impressed. MMA loyalists will roll their eyes. And casual viewers? They'll tune in for the memes and the drama, not the competition. Jake's not interested in respect or legacy, he wants headlines and cash. McGregor, on the other hand, is trying to dodge real opponents while pocketing what might be his last few lucrative deals. The matchup is essentially a marketing campaign in gloves. Jake recently announced his supposed retirement from influencer boxing to focus on becoming a professional fighter, whatever that means in his world. But let's be honest, calling Jake a professional boxer is like calling a YouTuber a Hollywood A-lister. His brand thrives on absurdity, and he knows how to weaponize attention better than anyone. This fight, if it happens, won't be about legacy. It'll be about monetizing controversy, spinning the story, and dominating timelines. And so, here we are witnessing the slow-motion collision of 2 once feared names now clinging to relevance in the most chaotic way possible. McGregor, the fallen king. Jake Paul, the internet's favorite antagonist. Sal Vendor, the pot-stirring puppet master. Whether this fight ever materializes doesn't even matter anymore. It's already succeeded in its true goal, to create noise, get clicks, and keep Jake Paul trending. Once again, the man has hijacked the spotlight not by skill, but by sheer audacity.
Conor McGregor calls out Jake Paul for the next boxing fight.
Here it is.
Make a new name for yourself. Look at what has happened to Michael Perry. You know, one of our big stars here, the King of Violence. He titles himself, and you know he's had such a rise in the sport. Now he's up against you know, a little dweeb of a thing in a fight this weekend that we're all rooting for him.